Well, sad to say, this is it. This is the final Chalk Talk of the 2016 season, and I know it won't get as viewed as much as touchdowns and game winners and positive plays will, but unfortunately, when you come up on the short end, there's a finality to the season, a suddenness to the end of it, and unfortunately, too many negatives in that final game. Didn't have enough answers for Atlanta in their offense and some of the awesome things that they have done through the course of their season, and you had your opportunities, and especially early in this. I think people know over 5 years with Russell starting, I think I'm probably been one of his biggest supporters you could ever find. I believe in him. He's won a world championship, nearly a second. I think he's one of the 5 best on planet Earth doing what he's doing. But if there's one area moving into 2017 for a guy that is just hyper-focused on always improving and taking the next step, I think this is going to be the one area. I think it's going to be scoring touchdowns down in that red zone, being able to finish off drives and get sevens that you saw Atlanta do, and the burden that puts on your opponent. And in the momentum that creates, that execution leads to energy, as Chris Peterson likes to say. And there needs to be more red zone execution. And Darrell Bevell gets the finger pointed at him, but this is yet again another play that I think he designs beautifully, that he gets his best players into space and gives Russell Wilson the opportunity to finish. And unfortunately, on a play where he had ample protection and a really good pocket, well, the Seahawks couldn't get it done. So this was 3rd and 6, games tied at 7-7. They settle for a field goal, and then we know what happens. Some chaos ensues with a punt return and a penalty and a safety and everything else, and Atlanta's starting to run away from it. But here was your chance to go up 14-7. Here was your chance to start a game with touchdown, and everything was there for you. And I liked some of the empty formation that Seattle got into. As I talked about through the course of the season, you get to empty to try to simplify matters, to see if you're going to get pressure, to see what kind of man-to-man look you're going to get. Seahawks start an empty, and they actually motion Thomas Rawls back into the backfield. And in doing so, creates a pretty clear picture for Russell Wilson getting what he wants. And what he wants and what he gets is man-to-man coverage. You see it by the press alignment. You know right now that you've got Doug Baldwin in a man-to-man look, your player with a lot of space. This is also on this play, the hash mark them to the field for Doug. So the ball is on the left hash, so you have the entirety of the field to work with, and you get man-to-man coverage with Paul and Doug, and this is the key. Anytime you get that kind of look, you need to find the safety, especially with the route combination the Seahawks had going. It's somewhat of their little rub concept, with Paul Richardson running a little 5-yard in cut, Doug having the full freedom to either utilize that or get right to, and we kind of call this an inside fade route. Typically those fade routes come from outside, but a new concept that you're seeing, the Seahawks take advantage of it. You see it across the league. When you got a slot receiver as dynamic as Doug is, give him the entirety of the field and give him a little inside fade route so he can use all of this, and this throw usually goes to that back pylon. That's kind of the target area for the quarterback. But in this case, Russell's got to see this safety. Everything says man-to-man. Atlanta's trying to kind of, show a different look, trying to show him a little pressure combination. Ultimately, they settle into some man-to-man coverage on this side as well. The linebacker's going to drop off as Rawls goes into the flat, and you get exactly what you want. You've got Doug, your best playmaker, on an inside fade, little rub-like concept, and then you get Jimmy Graham on their strong safety, and you get Jimmy on a little in-cut here. And this safety can't be right. When you get to this spot, Russell, and it's 3rd and 6, and you're in the red zone, you got to score a touchdown, this safety can't be right. He's shaded to the field pre-snap because he knows he's got a lot of area to cover here, and Russell's got to do one of two things. He's got to either look him to the field, right, and look him off and come back to Jimmy on that safety and trust that big body, like Julio Jones did to Richard Sherman, that big body's going to win. These targets in the red zone for 88, way too low. Way too low over the course of the season. The receptions, solid. The yardage, solid. The touchdown receptions in the red zone, not where it needs to be. And this wasn't Bevell's fault. This was a safety that Russell's got to manipulate and either throw it if he feels like he has room here, or look him off and get him running, and make sure you come back to that in cut with 6'7", 260 with a safety on his back. Instead, Russell throws a pretty tight ball. He leaves it just inside as this safety's flying a million miles an hour to get to Doug Baldwin and get to that reception point. It falls incomplete. you settle for a field goal, Atlanta scores touchdowns, and finding more red zone touchdowns for 88, for 3, and yes, for even 89 will be a big storyline in our Chalk Talks in 2017.